Hey everyone, in this video we're taking a quick look at some of the updated features of the Soundcore AeroFit 2s. It's not our full review, which we already did a couple of months back in 2024. I'll add a link in the description box below if you want to check out more details about the sound quality and performance. But what's unusual and kind of rare is several months down the road, this has actually gained new features in the form of AI translation now being unlocked in the companion app. And so Soundcore by Anchor have resisted the easy temptation of just dropping a product and then forgetting about it and simply moving on to the next product a couple of months later. Instead, this is a product that has seemingly improved its feature set in the long term through software updates, which is something that I hope more manufacturers can learn from and adopt. But before we dive into those new aspects, just as a quick 60-second rundown, here's a reminder or a refresher that the AeroFit 2s have a very comfortable design, crafted out of what they call liquid silicone, and they're super soft. Plus, these open-style headphones simply means that the drivers are on the outside of the ear canal, so allowing you to be aware of what's going on if you're walking down a busy street, for example, improving on the comfort but also adding more adjustments into the wing design here, even if you're performing some sports at the gym, going jogging, things like that. For the AeroFit 2s do have excellent sound quality thanks to a 20mm driver inside, and so I continue to be relatively impressed by the sound quality, including a bit more bass and impact here with those larger drivers, aka speakers. They're also high-res audio certified because they support LDAC audio codec for Android devices at the very least that can transmit up to 3 times more data wirelessly compared to standard Bluetooth codecs. All of this is further paired with wireless charging support on the battery case, adding to the overall convenience, making these one of the better pairs of sports-oriented / open-style headphones that you could find. But now diving into those new features, you simply have to update the Soundcore app in the store, including Android or iOS devices. Just tap on Update. Afterwards, we're going to be able to connect to the AeroFit 2s, and you'll see a new pop-up prompt that tells you one of the capabilities here will be AI translation, enabling more seamless face-to-face conversations between two people if you're in a meeting or traveling on vacation, supporting over 100 languages in the app, so it will require a firmware update, taking a couple of seconds there to download over. Tap into the AI translation tab now on the very bottom. Now, that being said, my understanding is these features are only currently available on the AeroFit 2s. It would be great if they continue to expand this out towards some of their other products as well, so fingers crossed we'll see that. So at the very top, we're able to change the language, and right now we have Spanish, Spain region selected by default. With that being said, depending on the language, dialects aren't going to be quite as exhaustive as the full list in Google Translate, for example, because this is something new to them. For instance, we have Spanish Spain, but there is no Spanish Mexico, for example, as well as other variants that might be commonly used in Latin America, even here in North America, all have slight differences in verb conjugation as well as jargon. So that is hopefully something that will expand later down the road. Similarly, when it comes to English, we only have English United States as the one being recognized. So if there are other dialects, like from Australia or from the UK, even Canada, then those smaller differences aren't separated out in this current kind of 1.0 beta of the translation function. With that being said, a large number of countries as well as popular languages seem to be supported here. So let's start with just Spanish and English here and do a quick test. I'm going to turn on mobile broadcast under the advanced settings, which means that the speaker of the phone will still be reading things out loud, or you can control it to only have sound playing back from the headphones, as well as vice versa, turn that on or off. Hola, esta es una prueba 1, 2, 3. So overall, not bad in terms of responsiveness, but I do see a couple of slight quirks. For example, in this first translation test, it's basically translating word for word verbatim of what you're saying into the other language, instead of making some smarter corrections. For example, using the same phrase in Google Translate, you can see that it's a little bit more intelligent in reshuffling some of the words based on context, instead saying, hello, this is a 1, 2, 3 test, which makes a little bit more sense. And also 1, 2, 3 is definitely different from 123, which this has translated to instead. That being said, you can make out the overall meaning and the speed isn't bad. And now we are speaking back in English. How does it work? Test, test, 1, 2, 3. So there we go. Again, the translation speed is actually not bad. It might be even a touch faster than Google Translate. And this time around with punctuation in English seems to be a little bit more grammatically correct. It knew to place a period after English as well as a question mark after how does it work. So the English to Spanish in this example seemed to be a little bit better. And in this instance, it's assuming that the Spanish speaker is on the other side, so it's coming out from the phone speaker. Also, if you're wearing the headphones, you can press on the touchpad's surface to activate the translation and kind of tap again to release. So you don't have to always reach down to touch the key of the headphones whenever you want to activate the microphone and talk to it. However, one mode that isn't supported here, unlike some more professional dedicated translation buds that we've seen previously, like ones from Time Kettle, is you aren't able to wear the left and right sides independently. For example, those allowed you to give maybe the left side to the other speaker, and you can be wearing one side, so you'll be able to each have that private translation that only you guys are able to hear instead of coming out from the phone speaker. In other words, right now in the headphone mode, both sides are going to be playing back the same language. For example, English in this example. You can't set it so that one side is Spanish, one side is English. Basically, only you or the other person is able to wear the headphones and hear that translated result. For the other person, they have to see it from the phone screen and hear it from the phone speakers. So just keep that in mind. Now, also the real-time translation mode is a little bit confusingly labeled because I expected this mode to be a kind of simultaneous translation where, again, no buttons need to be pressed and it's always just going to be picking up a flowing conversation between two people. For example, you can say something, the other person can reply, and it'll be transcribing all of that in real time. But no, this actually seems to be the meeting or the lecture mode where it can only pick up one language at a time. So this is basically the voice recorder mode, and I think they should probably relabel this for clarity in the future. But anyways, if we trigger this, una prueba más, uno, dos, tres, and it's continuing to pick up our voice, as you can tell. However, as I'm speaking now in English, you can see that it's not really translating that into Spanish. It's still continuing to only work in that Spanish profile. As you can see here, it's getting a little bit confused. So it's only able to understand the language here that you've selected on the left. So it's more like a single-sided transcription mode for longer recording sessions. But in the correct context, if you're listening to a maybe professor lecture in a university or a foreign course, and they're always speaking that one language, it can still be potentially helpful. And from here, you're also able to check out translation records, such as this one here. You can actually tap inside as well as play back the entire recording, around 1 minute here. Again, maybe useful as a meeting aid. It's more like a smarter voice recorder mode. The face-to-face translation mode, though, does give you, again, the ability to take a closer look at the conversation records, what you said and the other person replied back in, as well as to delete those profiles that you no longer need. And also maybe unlocking the capability of using the left and right sides of the headphones separately for two different languages would be neat. Plus, maybe if they could allow us to download some of the languages to work offline, that might be even better. So clearly it's early days, but still it's impressive that some work has gone into this aspect to make it at least feel a little bit more comprehensive, expanding on the capabilities of a model that was from last year. Also, I guess one benefit compared to Google Translate or Bing Translate is if you have connected headphones, it will likely be always outputting the sound through the headphones. So the other person can only see the text, but not really hear what's coming out. Because typically you can only select one sound channel, either the speaker or the headphones, compared to on Soundcore's first-party implementation, you guys saw how the AeroFit 2s were able to play back the translated language and then read out loud the language to the other person. So it was using both the speaker and the headphones simultaneously for a more natural conversation. And so that particular setup flow might be beneficial versus these other services, which requires you to press down on the translate button every single time that you want to say a phrase. There isn't any integration with the touchpad controls to press and speak, and also sound can't really be spoken out loud to the other person if you have headphones connected. So the concept is good, and there are certainly some benefits using that first-party option. In this day and age where planned obsolescence is unfortunately the norm, this is actually pretty cool to see. Now, the other update is more of a hardware one, but because these are pretty nice to carry with you on the road when you're traveling, again for translation, you can further protect them now with an optional travel case for the AeroFit series. And on the inside, you'll find just the case itself, plus the aforementioned metal clip. And indeed, it is magnetic and locks itself into place. There's also kind of a warranty card here on the inside, plus a softer microfiber finish on the inside to prevent any scratching. And we can then just pop in the AeroFit 2s, kind of like a mini purse for these headphones if you wanted to add that layer of protection, and then you can travel a little bit more easily with them. So I would say this is more of a minor update, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's a must-have accessory, but if you do like the way it looks, this again shows a little bit more attention to detail from Soundcore/Anchor's part. In fact, right now we even have a small camera that can fit in here. This is a DxO1 from a couple of years back, so you get the idea. It can act as a protective, kind of universal pouch. So there we have it, just a quick rundown of some of the updates with the AeroFit 2 series. Again, always good to see manufacturers stand by their products and offer these incremental improvements over time. So if interested, you can check out more details as well as our original review on the AeroFit 2s, which dives more deeply into sound quality and other performance aspects in more detail. But for now, that's been our update video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been, again, a closer look at the Soundcore AeroFit 2, basically a half year later.